on that note, I'm already dicking around. Let's get into it, dude. Let's get into it, folks. Let's start the daycare. I'm gonna tweet out daycare is open, and we're talking Haitian assassination. Biden on Cuba.
3 head 7 clap.
This is crazy. Check this out while I write this.
Really never seen before. Protesters clashing with Cuban police, and a lot of Cubans and non-Cubans down here in South Florida want to show their support for the situation and the protesters in Cuba. And this is a very large way to have an impact on a lot of people. I'm sure a lot of drivers are very frustrated. They don't know what's happening. But so you know, avoid the 826 right now if you can. Again, this is 826, both directions shut down by protesters protesting the situation in Cuba.
Yeah, there you go. Biden on Cuba. What else? I might look into South Africa a little bit.
Two months in, and the radicalization pipeline has raid.
Texas Dems show spine, and more news. Get in now for a jam-packed, slammed show. www.twitch.tv/Hasanabi. Okay.
Hassle.
Didn't Florida pass a law about protesters that block roadways? Yes. You can now murder protesters that block roadways in Florida with your car.
Hassle.
But I guess not these ones because they got police protection. Because, you know, these guys want to end communism or something. I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. You know? Pre-watch South Africa. People are shooting at each other in news coverage. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. The problem with, like, covering South Africa is, like, South Africa, when it's not popping off, is still fucking popping off. Like, you guys are like, dude, check out South Africa. I'm like, what? Just a random Tuesday is occurring in South Africa? What happened? Was a guy, like, you know, transporting cell phones again? And just, like, had a gang just fucking roll up with machine guns? South Africa is the America of Africa. It's crazy. Are these conservative protests? I thought they were worried about blocked ambulances. I'm from South Africa. Nah, this is different. President Zuma just got arrested. Yeah. Yeah, it's just... They robbed a zoo? What? How do you rob a zoo?
As buff.
Cuban dissenter was raided live on TV by state police during an interview? What the fuck?
12 months.
Insane. Cuban influencer and regime critic Dina Starr's home is raided by police in the middle of a live interview with the Spanish TV network. Bro, did she get swatted?
Just recently rewatched your reaction to Trump's interview with Jonathan Swan, and that shit still cracks me up. Hasan.
Escucha, Cristina. A ver, me llevan para Zapata y Sen, en vivo desde España. Hago responsable al gobierno de cualquier cosa que me pueda pasar.
No, vivo.
En vivo.
En vivo. Había entendido mal, perdón. Que están...
Yo hago responsable al gobierno de cualquier cosa que me pueda pasar.
Swatted, but instead it's a Cuban death squad? That's the funny thing. It's like, bro, this shit happens in America too. You know that, right? Like, not for political dissidents in the same degree, but What do you mean? Like, why is it all of a sudden a Cuban death squad when it's in fucking Cuba? Also, is she in Cuba or is she in Spain? Like, also, what death squad allows you to fucking finish your interview? Like, I don't understand.
No lo sé, me dijeron que no lo sé, me dijeron que los acompañaron.
¿Vas tú sola?
No, bueno, sí. Mis amigos irán detrás.
Los amigos irán. Bueno, pues...
Me tengo que ir.
Ven,
bye, un placer.
Queda grabado. Contacto con... queremos saber qué ocurre mañana, si podemos hablar contigo otra vez. Bueno, se ha cortado ese Skype. Yo no sé si... Yo me imagino, si no nos está viendo nadie de exteriores, pues... que alguien, no sé, intentaremos ponernos en contacto porque esto que estamos viviendo en directo es absolutamente...
Caption says she's in Havana. Oh, okay. Do you speak Spanish or just listening to chat? I 100% do not speak Spanish, and I am absolutely listening to chat. What does she say? Good luck with your police raid?
Inédito en televisión, yo no lo había vivido nunca, desde luego. Veremos... Esperemos que mañana podamos hablar con ella y veremos si podemos descifrar esa conversación que han tenido en la puerta. Estábamos también en conexión con Yotuel Romero. Bueno, has podido presenciar lo que acaba de...
She's telling the interviewer they're telling her to come with them right now, the most polite death squad ever. I mean, they're not a death squad, but like it's still fucked up that they're arresting her. Probably for being a dissident, I assume. That's unacceptable, obviously. I don't know anything about this fucking channel. I don't know what... This is the issue. It's like, whenever stuff like this happens, it's like, this is a Spanish TV network. I have no idea what this is. This could literally be the fucking Newsmax of Spain. You know what I mean? This could literally be the Fox News of Spain that she's talking to. I don't know. Or it could be the CNN of Spain that she's talking to. So, like, that shit absolutely matters. You know what I mean? That's a huge part of this process. Bingo Turco? Yeah. Why would it matter? What do you mean, why would it matter, dude? Are you kidding me? The same attitude goes for Telesur, too. When I fucking watch Telesur broadcasts, I'm like, well, this is going to be slanted in the in favor of the government. Okay? Sorry, it's just the fucking truth. Of course it fucking matters. Are you meaning to tell me that if you never lived in America and someone sent you a news broadcast from Newsmax or whatever, OAN, do you think that would be an accurate description of what's going on in America? No, of course not. Yo, it's not. It's more like a mainstream neolib network. She says she was made the Cubano government responsible for anything that happens to her. Why do you keep clipping your stories mid-sentence? I don't know what you mean. Context matters, but a person swatting getting mid-interview is fucking wild regardless. Absolutely. But I don't know what she's saying. I don't know what this broadcast is. I need to know background information before I can, like, you know, make an assessment on what the fuck I need to know what they're saying first and foremost.
Do not come.
She's saying they just said to come with her and the other reporter hoping she'll be able to speak with her the next day? Oh, okay. The fucking news network that was advocating for natural selection? YouTuber Dina Starr is arrested by the Cuban police in the middle of a live interview. Why the fuck did they take her in custody?
Sinaloa, Mexico.
She has shown herself as a staunch opponent of the government of Miguel Diaz-Canel. In recent days, she participated in several interviews to tell what was happening on the island, which is currently going through the biggest protest against the executive since the 90s. In their social network, Stars has also called to participate in a new protest this Tuesday at the capital in Havana. The interview with Channel 4 in Spain, the YouTuber began making signs that something was wrong. Dina, you want to say something? The host of the program, Everything is a Lie? What the fuck? That's the name of the program? That's kind of a weird ass name for a program, dude. Most of the program, everything is a lie. Oh, that's interesting marketing, dude. That's an interesting branding choice that you made that I feel conflicted by. It's like, so what is the truth? Are you also lying to me? The channel is Spanish branch of it. I would assume it's rightist bias. Yeah, I know. Addison Rae fucking saw Donald Trump and wanted to get a photo or some shit, or wanted to say hi to him. We'll talk about that in a second. Apparently, there was 2 protests. The anti-Cuban government had less than 1K people, but the other protest was anti-U.S. embargo that had apparently 100,000. Okay, dude, that's... I don't know about that, okay? Yeah. Like, this notion that 100,000 people were in the streets in Cuba protesting the fucking American embargo, like, it sounds a little wild. Here's some fucking anarchist. I saw this thread earlier. All right, if you think the so-called SOS Cuba protest came out of nowhere, you've been sleeping on the grassroots anti-police, anti-state movement. An anarchist, dude. Jesus Christ, literally just
anniversary. It's time to go crazy.
I'm sorry, okay, but like anarchists just, I don't know why they just happen to work with they just happen to always work with the CIA and shit like that, you know what I mean? Or whatever. Whoever is like a big anarchist on Twitter always will have some like defense contracting background. It's just very weird, dude. I don't know why. I don't know how. I don't know where. There's always some like weird shit that comes out about every fucking prominent anarchist on Twitter. Anyway, there are big anarchists on Twitter. Not big ones, but like, what's that one? The one that fucking, literally the one that was saying the Chapo to fascism pipeline, whatever her name is. You know what I'm talking about? There was that lady who kept saying like, there was that lady who was like saying Chapo, it turns you into fucking fascists. Gwen Schneider. Yeah. Oh God, this is so extremely online. Yeah. Gwen Schneider, famous prominent anarchist on Twitter, literally fucking worked with the government, dude. My girlfriend. Michael's girlfriend, Gwen Schneider. Anyway, there's an anti-police, anti-state movement that's been brewing across the island for the better of a year. Here's a timeline of events that those who have been following. Last year, a young rapper named Miguel Solis was arrested by the Cuban State Security. Solis is a member of a dissident art group called... Oh, I saw this. Okay. So there's an art group called the Movimiento San Isidro, formed after the government introduced repressive regulations on independent art exhibitions in 2018. They did some hunger strike to demand that dissident hip-hop artist Denis Solis to be freed after he received an 8-month prison sentence for disrespecting a police officer. Insane. Within a week of Solis's arrest, Cuba's broader artistic community mobilized to demand dialogue with the Ministry of Culture and expanded artistic freedoms. Between petitions, open letters, and protests, the outpouring was unprecedented. Effective use of social media, a relatively new phenomenon for everyday Cubans to broadcast the protest, led to a chorus of small demonstrations echoing across the island. Yeah, this is the future America wants, by the way. It's pretty funny that like conservatives would be like, free Cuba, brother, they're doing communism. And then like in Cuba, the people are protesting that you can't disrespect the fucking cop, you'll go to jail. But that's literally what American conservatives want, okay? What do you mean? Wait, hold on. Maybe this communism thing isn't so bad. Yeah, I want the scum, the criminal scum, to go to jail for disrespecting a cop. You see a cop, you suck his cock. You understand me? I see a cop, brother, I get down on my knees, I say, do your boots need a polishing, sir? And no, I do not mean with a sponge. I got this tongue right here that's ready to do licking. Okay? Finger licking good, brother. Amen. Say thank you for your service. It should be illegal. You should be lined up and shot if you don't say thank you for your service when you see a cop. Anyway. In a watershed moment, young protester named Luis Robles took to the streets of Havana with a homemade sign demanding freedom of expression when he was detained by the police. A giddy crowd surrounded the officers to defend the young man's rights. Okay, this like seems like regular protests happening in a country that has aggressive, very aggressive rules around freedom of information, freedom of expression, and also, I guess, the way to deal with cops, which is fucked up. But it's not like, it doesn't really strike me as like mass protests that are blowing the fuck up. Okay? But also, you know, once again, anarchists just doing anarchy, okay? Just anarchism. By this time, the train had left the station. Okay, I don't care about this, like, this stuff. Minister of Culture physically assaulted independent journalists who questioned him outside the minister's office, saying his seizure was bold. His voices called for his resignation. Yeah, this stuff is like... This guy is just doing a self-promo for his own, like, random thing that... His own, like, random movement that doesn't really seem that big.
Yay, Hassami.
Like, I don't know why this is... Yeah, bro, they're protesting because a fucking rapper got arrested, dude. Hey, what's up, Kim.com with the 50 gifted subs? Yeah, no, never mind. I don't... I mean, this could have been something that incited mass protests, right? But ultimately, the real reason why fucking Cubans, from what I understand, are protesting is because they feel like the government's not doing enough for them. That's it. They want food. They want medicine. And that's pretty much it. Like, that, what the fuck? And they want the government to not beat the shit out of them when they're protesting. Which are incredibly reasonable things to demand. It's almost as if anarchists are not fond of authoritarian regimes, whether capitalist or communist. It's almost as if anarchists just fucking whine and cry and complain all the goddamn time. And the moment that they try to fucking build a commune or anything like that, it actually ends up reinforcing the same unjust hierarchies and structures that they ultimately wanted to fucking create, because there is a necessity for a policing force. But this time around, you don't have the proper training. And then you have the fucking Seattle zone that you... autonomous zone that you fucking created, where 2 black teenagers were still murdered regardless, but this time they were murdered by the hands of a security brigade that you had put together. Thank you, anarchist man, for giving me your incredible take. Also, anarchists in a situation like this, especially in a functionally leftist government that has been fucking placed under such rigorous control and embargoes that have made them lose like billions and billions and billions of dollars of fucking commodities in the process, turning around and creating a unique opportunity for the CIA to jump on that messaging and make it seem like there's a mass protest, kind of seems not very leftist, my guy. I don't know. Hey, if you like unjustifiable hierarchies, how about you get, you know, the most unjustifiable hierarchy, the CIA coming in, murdering your fucking politicians, and then planting whatever fascist dictator that they would want to have there. Here's another unjustifiable hierarchy, the top of the hour ad time, okay? There's a 60-second ad break coming right now.
32 months fucking
You didn't fucking, you know, you didn't vote for it in a democratic process, but it's happening regardless. However, there are ways that you can avoid the ad break. If you want an ad-free broadcasting experience, all you need to do is subscribe. You can subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime by connecting your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. Also, on top of that, You can use an ad block or a VPN, but the ad break comes for all. Here it is now. Damn, that was
the hour.
That was pretty good.
Hasan, I made one fellatio joke during the Trump-Hannity interview and got perma-banned by mod. PLS consider unbanning me. I'm a good chatter.
Is Cuba actually
CHX
communist? A
love
communist
Massey.
state is like an oxymoron. And no, Cuba is not actually communist. They are closer to a socialist state than any other state, though. What did the dono say? I missed it. Son, I made one fellatio joke during the Trump Hannity interview, got permabanned by mom. Please consider unbanning me. I'm a good chatter.
It was a good one.
Front over crook. Cop, if you don't like it, why don't you leave? I like you here. I like Cuba just like you. Then why are you saying bad things about the revolution? That's your revolution. And my revolution, what you're doing to me right now doesn't exist. I have a Cuban friend who's posting ACAP stuff because of this, and fascists are trying to claim this protest as their own. Okay, so here's the thing. I mean, they're right. People protesting police brutality deserve solidarity, okay? I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh, it's great that the cops are beating the shit out of people. Like, fuck you, okay? No, those people are counter-revolutionary. Even though these guys are a little bit counter-revolutionary because they are being utilized as what was the proper word for this? It's a pawn, but now the backtracking begins. Now the backtracking begins. Dude, I'm sorry, brother. If you're too fucking dumb. Oh no, oh, never mind. He's just a fucking crust boy, dude. Look at this crusty boy. Look at this fucking crusty boy. Wow, must be nice not being a worker. I'm so fucking crusty, dude. I'm the crustiest, dude. Leftism is when you're the crustiest motherfucker in the chat. Okay? Leftism is when you have the most crust. And the crustier you are, the leftier you are. Like that fucking pirate in Pirates of the Caribbean, you know? Whichever, the one that had like moss on him, like the one that they made that had like the fucking beard that was a octopus, but he literally had moss on him. Like that's Davy Jones. Is that who it was? Like that's literally the most leftist person. The term I was looking for is a useful idiot. Yes. Yes. Backtracking is when you have a nuanced approach to a very complicated political situation, you know, that revolves around the American foreign policy and nearly a century of important historical reference. That's what backtracking is, when you just, you know.
Hi, chat.
Considering Cuba has endured all the sanctions and embargoes for this long, wouldn't they still be considered a success story as far as social policies? Yes, it would. No, that guy's a Zapatista, dude. He is. That guy's a real Zapatista, boys, in my chat. Crazy. It's true. Literally in here watching me instead. Anyway. I feel like because some extremely online anarchists are fucking stupid, you shouldn't just write off all anarchists. Not all of us are dumbasses, Sag. I mean, I don't. I tell people to read the bread book. I think Kropotkin is important to read. Like, I don't literally say that all anarchists all the time are fucking annoying. Sometimes anarchists are really annoying. But also, I always will qualify that statement by saying anarchists are also at the forefront of mutual aid and protest. Even those who believe in like full-blown prison abolition still are willing and able to work towards that goal, and are completely aligned on our I didn't say the cookbook, I said the bread book, not the cookbook.
You're such a big man.
Do you understand? Is this true or misleading tweet? It's Jack Posobiec. Of course it's misleading, dude. I don't even need to read it to tell you that that's a fucking... That's just a lie. That's a Pizzagate guy, bro. Come on. Anyway, where were we? Why is this turned into an anarchism bash when you admit yourself that they're simply online dumb fucks? If we are supposed to use the online metric, then every supposed ML is pro any authoritarian state. Yeah, but I do also make fun of them. So yeah, when I talk about China or any other fucking country that Marxist-Leninists sometimes will offer unconditional support to, then I fucking shit on them too. So yeah.
Hassle.
Anyway. Yo, just got my first job with the Carpenters Union. Hype. Want to make my way into being a rep and corner Austin market share. I'm proud of you, man. I'm an ANCOM and I hate other anarchists. Yes, we exist. Of course you do. That's the only thing that is consistent about being a leftist is you have to hate other leftists. That's the only way you can be a leftist. I know I joke about saying like leftism is when no fun, or leftism is when you've never laughed, or a bunch of different things. But the real take is leftism is when you hate other leftists for like minor grievances and minor differences, or historical events where like, fucking Marxist-Leninist is like murdered anarchists or some shit, like as though that happened yesterday. You know what I mean? Like holding on to that, regardless of trying to build solidarity against neoliberal capitalism. That's what being a leftist is all about. You know, engaging in sectarian infighting for no fucking reason, as though we have legitimate Trotskyites and Stalinists still, or whatever. So you're very much a leftist? No, I shit on everyone, so I'm an equal opportunity shitter. You still sound like you're joking? I'm not joking. Umberto Pecorino, what's the music you played in No Pixel Please? We've all had music get stuck in our head with no solution. It's not Celeste, and I just cannot find it.
For hire.
It is Celeste. Anyway. On the ground, everyday Cubans were emboldened by the protests to confront the police, who like police anywhere, are notorious for harassing and humiliating poor and racialized people. As the repression steps up, Cuba's dissident youth movement is rapidly morphing into an anti-police upsurge. Below, rapper El Inva rolls out his new track, but Policia Pinga, fuck the police, taking its title from a popular street chant. Some lyrics translated below, ACAB. Meanwhile, the San Isidro folks took to direct action and civil disobedience to clown the state security apparatus and broadcast their actions through social media. Things really heated up when Michael Osorbo escaped from police custody with one hand cuffed and led to a chant, fuck Diaz Canal, through his neighborhood. Real gangsta shit. Very slick. This guy's just like promoting rap music, dude. This thread is just like all fucking... I feel like all of this is just like, yo, check out this fucking fire mixtape, dude. And here we are today. So these are poor racialized folks, all mindless dupes of a CIA plot. I know that's easy to answer. I know that's an easy answer. Of course they're not. But it's wrong. Is the CIA lucking its lips and throwing gasoline on the fire? Obviously. So what can we do? Demand an immediate end to the blockade, mobilize against any attempt at U.S. government intervention, repudiate any appearance of co-optation by the vultures of the Miami oligarchy, and respect the righteous anger of the Cuban people. Remember, if the Miami oligarchs had their way, the people on the ground protesting would still be in chains cutting sugarcane on their haciendas. They don't give a fuck about the Cuban people. They don't let them act like they do. Okay, I mean, he salvages it in the end. He's right.
Seven months later, so thanks Hasan for making every day a nazzing hassle.
U.S. agency infiltrated the Cuban hip-hop scene to spark youth unrest. Are you serious? Investigations find U.S. aid recruited musicians to break information blockade as a part of covert social project. Hip-hop has emerged as the latest covert weapon in the U.S. government's hapless attempts to unseat Cuba's communist government.
17 months.
Like its previous efforts, including exploding cigars, Cuban Twitter, and the botched Bay of Pigs invasion, the attempt to co-op rappers ended in an ignominious failure. New documents have shown. Well, apparently, it's still happening, boys. Chill. For more than 2 years, the American Development Aid Organization, USAID, USCIAID, has been secretly trying to infiltrate Cuba's underground hip-hop movement, according to records obtained by the Associated Press.
"29 months, boomer."
The idea was to use Cuba's rappers to break the information blockade and build a network of young people seeking social change to spark a youth movement against the government of President Raul Castro. The operation followed a familiar pattern to other tactics in America's secret war in Cuba. It was amateurish and profoundly unsuccessful. On at least 6 occasions, Cuban authorities detained or interrogated people involved in the operation. They also confiscated computer hardware, which in some cases contained information that endangered Cubans who are thought to have had no idea that they were caught up in the clandestine program. The USAID operation also ended up compromising Cuba's vibrant hip-hop culture, which has produced some of the hardest-hitting grassroots criticism since Fidel Castro came to power in 1959. Are you telling me that a bunch of fucking... The secret is out. The U.S. built Cuban Twitter to stir up political unrest. I remember this.
Black Ops 1 story as Chud.
Yeah, I remember that. I know that they like wanted to do a... I remember when they tried to fucking build a Cuban Twitter, basically. So they could, you know... It's kind of funny, though, because, like, under our free market capitalist design, you can have other countries come in and just buy ads, right? And start literally breaking the brains of all of our body politique, basically. Like, conservatives will literally just, like, lose their shit and start believing more and more in, like, QAnon conspiracies. Meanwhile, America's trying to do that in Cuba and fucking failing to do so. Partially because they don't have the same freedom of information that we do here.
Hassle.
Having said that, though, I still do believe that freedom of information is a necessity. That's the Congress funding for democracy in Cuba programs at work. Oh, yeah, 100%. Dude, the CIA fucking sucks, dude. What happened? The CIA's like fucking Stan Twitter at this point. Like, can't do shit to real racists, so they just go after their own fucking content creators, you know, to get like a half-assed apology And then, you know, they'll
Hope
pat their
your day is
backs,
going
be like,
well
yeah,
so
we
far.
defeated racism. Hell yeah, dude. Where's the old CIA? I mean, actually, when you think about it, like old CIA, incredibly efficient, incredibly deadly, and murdered a bunch of, like, you know, black revolutionary Americans. You know what I mean? Thank God that they suck now. The cell phone is really fucked up how brutal they can be. Please don't push the bumbling empire lie. I mean, America is still incredibly efficient and incredibly brutal. Don't get me wrong. But it is kind of funny that, like, there's a lot of shit that they miss, dude. I mean, even the Haitian assassination, right? At first I was like, this is probably not an American op. And I still don't know if it's an American op or not, because the person that they murdered in Haiti is an American puppet. Sure, he didn't want to leave power, but he was still a neoliberal American puppet. That was like the guy that was their guy. Right? Wait, people actually is an op? Freedom is everything. We support the Cuban people in their fight for freedom in Cuba. Libertad ya viene y llegando. Eso es Cuba. Dude, he's Mr. Worldwide, dude. You know what else is worldwide?
Dad,
The CIA.
tub running. Send your sound clouds to the CIA boys.
This is pretty aggressive as far as like an article goes. But if it's if it's an Associated Press article originally, like, that makes sense. Dale. I already ran the ad. Boys, I already ran the ad. Stop asking for the ad. The CIA's gotten real sloppy. Here's the thing, man. Here's the thing.
CIA has entered the chat.
There is absolutely zero reason to have a fucking embargo on Cuba. Like, there is no reason to have it. Okay? We're not in the fucking 60s, dude. What are we doing? How are we still... How is this still even remotely justifiable? Like, I don't give a fuck about anything else other than, you know, why... other than looking for an answer to why there is still an embargo on Cuba. Like, that makes why? That makes no sense. Yeah, Pitbull went from Mr. Worldwide to Mr. Global North. Oh, that's funny. Why do you think he's called anyone who has fled Cuba a gusano? Like, sorry, my family didn't want to starve. Okay. This is a point of contention for a lot of people. The term Gusanex, okay? Or gusano. You know that this is like something that people are very upset about. Not every single person that left Cuba is incredibly wealthy. But a lot of the people that originally left Cuba are. And left Cuba specifically because their lands were being seized and their slaves were being freed. That's where that concept comes from. And gusano just means worm in Spanish. I talked about this yesterday.
You've gotten me through a lot since I've started watching you. Thanks for doing what you're doing.
It's the people that fled because they were wealthy and did not want they did not like that their wealth was being taken from them. Their land was being taken from them. Okay? It's not like an ethnic slur. I don't want people to say like it's a fucking ethnic slur. It's just not. It's literally the same as like...
And stay hydrated, and most importantly, know you are loved.
Like, if you're
also,
fucking
hi, Hasan,
a rich political dissident against a socialist country. Like, it's not... That's what it means.
The embargo is still in place because we are sore losers and
like,
petty bitches.
It's like crying about the term cracker. Now, is it being misappropriated? Do like white leftists use it randomly on anyone that they consider to be like Cuban or of Cuban descent, no matter if they're like the Elizabeth Warren of being Cuban? Yeah, they do, because they're fucking white leftists. They don't know any better. They think it's like a cool new term that they fucking found, and they're just like dropping it. But to claim that this is like the same as, you know, the N-word or something like that is fucking ridiculous. Good luck. Hopefully you can build a mass momentum, a mass movement by, like, I don't know, reaching out to like Anna Navarro or something and start crying about that term. But it's literally like throwing snake emojis at Warren. Yeah. I mean, the people asking for freedom in Cuban streets because of their authoritarian government aren't rich. No, I know there's a difference. It's almost like there are a bunch of different groups within a country that want different things, some of which are completely reasonable and others that are not. Shocking. I know. Yeah, I know everybody wants like a fun little Disney story about like, here are the evil people and here are the good people, okay? But it doesn't work that way. It's the same as people saying the term scab is a slur and would prefer use. Yeah, it's like when TERFs say don't use TERF. It's a pejorative now. It's a slur. I don't know. I just think it's weird to shit on people who are victims of the embargo. What? What makes you believe that I'm shitting on victims of the embargo? When I'm literally criticizing the embargo? Like, what the fuck? I mean, if you want to be mad about things that I'm not saying, you don't have to watch. Like calling immigrants gusanos. Brother. This is not even remotely a significant enough conversation to be having. I don't know who the fuck called your family or you a gusano or something, okay? I don't know what's going on in your head. I don't know what the argument is for you. I don't know if you're not paying attention to what I'm saying. I'm describing... No, not you. Like calling immigrants gusanos? Yeah, I mean, I already said people misappropriate the term. It's like fucking... It's like a white person calling like a random black person Uncle Tom because they disagreed with one another. Okay? Like, that's fucked up. There's a difference. There is actually a difference between the wealthy Cuban reactionaries who unapologetically are like, oh, dude, we need to, like, go back to the way things were in Cuba. And poor motherfuckers who also escaped Cuba, came to America, and then still became reactionary shitheads, by the way. Which your parents might be. I'm sorry to say this, but Caesar 7001. I don't know what your father and your mother's background is, but you know, if they're advocating for American involvement in Cuba, then it's not great. I don't give a fuck if they have an immigrant background or if they like escaped treacherous conditions in Cuba. And I say this as someone who fucking despises the Erdogan regime, who thinks Erdogan is the worst thing that fucking could have happened to Turkey, but I would still absolutely prefer Erdogan to whoever the fuck America is going to install. My family is anti-embargo. It makes it harder to send money to my grandma. Okay, well, you and I are in agreement. Okay? There are countless examples of America intervening other countries that have led to so much death, devastation, and destruction. Okay? That doesn't make me an Erdogan supporter. That makes me against American intervention because I've seen what America does. But if you think that like Gusano is a slur, is an ethnic slur or some shit, like, I mean, I don't think so. It's like saying redneck is an ethnic slur or cracker is an ethnic slur. Like TERFs, Karen. Like there are always going to be language that the oppressed people create as a pejorative against those who would advocate for their further oppression and continued oppression.
Through the first trimester. Excited for the ultrasound.
Cracker never had the weight of the state behind it? What does that mean?
Cheers.
Would you not consider Cuba a police state, especially at this point, given police beating and shooting protesters, shutting down the internet, forcing teenage boys from their homes and forcing them to fight against protesters, etc.? I don't know. Some of this stuff that you're mentioning, just, I don't know what the fuck that is, okay? But no, what Cuba is doing is exactly what every other fucking country does, and it is not good, and it is wrong, okay? And they shouldn't do it. As far as like beating protesters, it's absolutely ridiculous. Right? Cuba has always controlled the internet, and it's literally one of my main criticisms of Cuba. But a far larger concern, in my opinion, for Cuba, a far larger problem within Cuba right now is the insane fucking restrictions that the American state has placed upon them that literally stop Cubans living in America from even giving appropriate funds to Cubans living back in Cuba. That shit is unacceptable. The only kinds of wealth and funds that make their way back to Cuba are suspiciously made through U.S. aid and like can't go to government agencies and have to go to non-government agencies. And that's fucking bullshit. And that's not a Cuba problem. That's the America problem. Cuba can't solve that. America has to solve that. Does that make sense? And the reason why Cuba has always been a threat is, unfortunately, very similar to the reason why Haiti has always been considered a threat historically to American capitalist hegemony. And that problem is, if you can show and demonstrate that a country can be successful without cooperating in the same systems, without cooperating or with while simultaneously having a more social democratic, or dare I say socialist mode of production, then that is a genuine viable threat. It's in our backyard. And with Haiti, it was a slave rebellion, a successful slave rebellion, the most successful slave rebellion in the West. You can't have that work, because then it would destroy the socialism never works takes that you have cultivated. And you can't have Haiti work, because then it's like you basically have to admit that, like, you know, a black country can have autonomy. America literally has a torture prison on the coast of Cuba, and Americans will say we're not authoritarian. Yeah, of course. The U.S. involvement in Cuba for like the past 60 years makes it nearly impossible to develop liberties like free internet, etc. gradually. Chomsky referred to this as Cuba needing constant wartime measures on its institutions. I mean, it is true. They are constantly under war. If America were to lift the sanctions, lift the embargo, allow Cuba to participate in global trade, right? Allow Cuba to fucking build whatever infrastructure they need to build to have as robust an internet as they possibly can, it would perhaps make it easier for the CIA to even do their infiltration and run their campaigns. But they don't want to do that. That's why they have to engage in hip-hop war and fake Twitter by way of USCI aid. Anyway, let's watch what Biden had to say about Cuba. And then Marco Rubio.
Demonstrators in Cuba after thousands of people took to the streets in one of the country's biggest protests in decades. They are angry over the worsening economic crisis on the island. Now, this comes as a Biden administration.
I saw a take on Twitter that I'm just going to steal. I forget who said it, but it's like waving the American flag at a protest like this is literally the equivalent of calling the cops. You're like, dude, please come here and fuck everything up, okay? We need you to come here. Well, the reality is, though, what they fail to recognize is if the cops come, they're going to fuck them up, too. They don't realize that.
Reviews its policy toward the communist nation, including whether to ease or maintain economic sanctions. Manuel Bojorquez is in Miami with more on this story. Good morning to you, Manny. What has been the reaction there?
Well, good morning, Gail. The protests have continued here in Miami's Little
Oh my God, is he fucking filming this from a toilet or something? How is that?
Havana neighborhood. But because the internet has been cut in Cuba, it's hard to know the extent of additional protests there. What is clear is the situation is putting pressure on the Biden administration to define its Cuba policy.
We call on the government of Cuba to refrain from violence or attempts to silence the voice of the people of Cuba.
President Biden on Monday said the U.S. stood with Cuban protesters.
I don't think we've seen anything like this protest in a long, long time.
The comments came a day after thousands of Cubans poured into the streets, protesting against the communist government, triggered by food shortages, rising prices, and the government's response to rising COVID infections. Thousands in Miami have joined in solidarity. Havana-born Damir Perez came to Florida a decade ago and says he's optimistic the protests will fuel change.
We've been fighting this fight for a long time now. We have never seen it in 62 years of dictatorship in Cuba.
But in Havana, it was mostly quiet again by Monday. Police were seen patrolling the streets. Cuban authorities appear to have blocked access to social media sites like Facebook, WhatsApp, and Instagram. Dozens of people have been reportedly arrested in the protests, including journalists. Many demonstrators were also injured in clashes with police and pro-government activists.
This shit is unacceptable, right? Obviously. Like, I'm never going to fucking side with police brutality against peaceful protesters. They're using footage from pro-revolutionary protesters? What do you mean? Those are pro-communist protesters in the later part. The way America is treating Cuba at the moment is literally like Syndrome's plan from Incredibles. No, it's fucking hilarious that these motherfuckers are like showing police brutality. Okay, and it's CBS this morning. At least they had a positive coverage on like BLM for the most part. But it's hilarious that they're showing police brutality and like the conservatives are like, unacceptable. We need to liberate these Cubans. It's like, motherfucker, you literally last year, you were arguing to murder black people on the streets. And now you're like, I can't believe police brutality is happening. Bro, this is literally a light fucking slap in comparison to the tear gas, rubber bullets, and like, and all the other kettling, corralling actions that the American police engage in on a regular basis. Like, this is not a defense. It's still unacceptable regardless, right? But holy fuck, this authoritarian communist country seems really pleasant in comparison to what the fuck is going on in America on a regular basis, dude.
Many demonstrators were also injured in clashes with police and pro-government activists. President Miguel Díaz-Canel blamed Cuba's economic turmoil on the U.S. trade embargo. The Biden administration pushed back on any notion the U.S. was responsible for the protests.
These are protests inspired by the harsh reality of everyday life in Cuba, not people in another country.
One indication of the mounting discontent in Cuba is the uptick, I should say, in the number of migrants arriving here in Florida by boat, risking their lives despite no longer having an automatic legal pathway to remain in this country. Adriana?
Manny, thank you. You know, one of the things people were chanting, the protesters in Manny's piece, was Patria y Vida, which is homeland and life. And that's a play on the communist slogan, Patria or muerte, which is homeland or death. So people are saying it's not enough just to have our homeland. We need to live well.
You've been there.
Yeah, I reported on the normalization of relations in 2014 and 2015 for CBS. And things are so different now because 3G arrived at the country in 20...
Bro, are you going to address how the food shortages are caused by rampant corruption and failed socialist farming policies? Or just continue to insinuate that America is responsible for everything wrong in Cuba? Dude, I love this take. Brother, let's say you're correct. Let's say you're completely correct that, like, it's failed farming because it's communism, right? Except in America, one of the closest systems that we have to communism is literally our fucking agricultural production, which is heavily subsidized, right up there with, like, central planning that plays a fundamental role in our extraction industry as well. But hey, let's forget about that for a second. Let's say that you are correct, that, like, this incredibly horrible, corrupt, authoritarian government is, like, fucking up everything and, like, you know, fucking up agriculture, right? Let's say that's true. And why the fuck do you need an embargo, brother? They're already fucking it up. Let them fuck it up. It almost feels like America feels the need to tilt the scales for some reason. That's really strange to me. Going forward, if you want to criticize Cuba, you have to advocate to lift the embargo, okay? That's it. Straight up, lift all embargoes, normalize relationships with Cuba, behave like Cuba is a normal fucking country, and we can move on from that point, okay? Like, it's nuts to me. The reason why I see Cuba as a success story, which will trigger a lot of fucking Cubans living in Miami and shit, because, like, you know, their parents fucking absolutely despise the current administration there. But, like, the reason why I see it as a success story is because they've been able to persevere through insanity, okay? That's nuts. It absolutely is a success story. It's not a success story. It's a success story for all of the factors considered. You understand? I get shot on by a lot of people in Miami for having this exact take. Yeah, I mean, those people are fucking psychos, man. Look, if you're a young Cuban, you already know this. Unfortunately, a lot of fucking Cubans are absolutely psychopathic reactionaries, dude. They are QAnon supporting Trump supporters. Like, what do you want? Like, well, now we're propping those people up as though they're, like, very sane and making really correct takes about what's going on. But, like, last year, everyone was like, what's up with these Latinos? What's up with these brown folk? These Latinx? You know, believing in QAnon and being such a big fan of Donald Trump. Like, what happened? Those are the same people. The only time that the Cuban population has voted in favor of a Democrat was Barack Obama. Okay? And the only reason why a majority of Cubans voted for Barack Obama was because Barack Obama was able to activate younger Cubans. That's it. Outside of that, they are straight up, like, Cubans as a population, their voting patterns are super reactionary and they love Republicans. They're Republicans. And any Cuban that tells you that's not the truth is fucking lying, okay? Isn't anarchism actually impressed by Cuba because they seem like the only exception of the communist bloc by actually moving, withering away the state, empowering co-ops and unions. Not perfectly obvious, but an effort, regardless of the shitty hand the U.S. enforces, is admirable. Doesn't mean that there aren't salient critiques of the government. Of course there are. There's salient critiques of every government. That's a lot of older Hispanics, to be honest. As a Hispanic myself, that's literally not true. Latinos in America, with the exception of Cubans, are unironic. With the exception of Cubans and Venezuelans living in America, Latinos in America are some of the most pro-fucking leftist voting blocks in this country. They are very conservative when it comes to social issues. They might be homophobic. They might be fucking downright racist. They might have a bunch of reactionary attitudes from Catholicism, right? Having said that, though, especially Chicanos, having said that, though, older demographics of Latinos who may hold on to these like anti-abortion takes and fucking, you know, homophobia or bigotry of every fucking sort are literally categorically the most supportive of big government initiatives. Okay? Like there are plenty of studies conducted on this. If you don't believe me, ask the Republicans. The GOP head of outreach in Texas, which is the main guy who knows exactly how to fucking do outreach to the Latino population, has said time and time again that Texas, the reason, the way that they control Texas with even with the increase in immigration into Texas. Yeah, I have talked about this. Here's the facts. Okay, is by never focusing on government initiatives, never talking about small government when you're doing outreach to Latinos living in Texas, and always focusing on Christianity. Come on, we're the real Christians, like you. You're the real Christians, and we're the real Christians. Abortion. If the Texas Democrats, on the other hand, hyper focused on the actual actual things that like even older Latinos want, then they would do a lot better.
Hassel? Sup?
Some 75% of Hispanics hold this view. Just 19 say they prefer a smaller government. By contrast, just 41% of the public at large voice support for a bigger government. Support for larger government is the highest among immigrant Latinos, with 81% holding this view, dude. 81%. This share falls 72% among second-generation Hispanics and 58% among third-generation Hispanics. What are the neolib talking points for defending the embargo at this point? I don't know. I actually don't fucking know what the defense of the embargo is. It's just that people don't care. That's the reality. People don't care about the protests happening in Cuba one way or the other. The only way that, outside of like actual Cubans, the real reason why people are having this conversation over and over again is because you can make a fucking political point against communism, okay? Or what you consider to be communist. That is the only reason why people fucking talk about this. And that's why you hear the exact same takes from people like Joe Biden and also Marco Rubio. Okay, that's it. These people don't give a fuck about what happens to Cuban people. If they did, they would lift the embargoes immediately. Okay?
Hassel.
Reaction. Florida Senator Marco Rubio. You know, Senator, by the way, I mean what I say. The first things first here. The Castro brothers, this is a murdering communist dictatorship.
Again, I talked about this yesterday, but like, it's a murderous communist dictatorship, murderous communist dictatorship, murderous communist dictatorship. America has consistently murdered more and will continue to murder more for the rest of fucking time, okay? The previous Batista administration that was a dictatorship, authoritarian, fascist dictatorship, killed more than 20,000 people, according to the CIA, in a matter of the 7-year time span that it was around, okay? The Castro regime did not reach anywhere near those numbers in fucking the 60 plus years that they were fucking in power, okay? Nowhere near those numbers. So this notion that like, oh, dude, it was so bad. It was so bad. They were fucking murdering people all the time. It's like, dude, it's kind of weird that America is like literally having this conversation.
It always has been. From the very beginning, they stole land, they oppressed people, and none of the promises given to the people were ever fulfilled. That's first on the table. You last night had to embarrass. It's 8:30, still no word from Joe. It's 10:30, still no word from Joe. And then this tepid, pathetic statement that he sends out today. And
this is exactly the same energy as like criticizing Joe Biden for his unconditional support to Israel. He gave unconditional support, stole land, by the way. Notice how he said he stole land. Who did he steal land from? You motherfucker. This is literally... Okay, hold on. Hold on. Let me describe something here. Okay? It was absolutely unacceptable of the federal government to come in to the South and change the way of life of Southerners and their heritage and steal their property. Completely unacceptable. Abolishing slavery. That's the way to describe abolishing fucking slavery in the United States, okay? What he's talking about is literally stealing land and freeing fucking slaves, dude. He's currently talking about stealing plantation lands and expropriating it for everyone, nationalizing it, and taking slave plantations and like freeing fucking slaves, stealing land from slavers. It's the type of shit. It's not just only plantations. No, of course not. It's the type of shit that we should have done in America, motherfucker. Instead of giving reparations to the slavers, because those are the people that actually got reparations in the United States of America, a fucking stain that lives on in American history. We should have just taken the fucking land. Some instances, plantations were offered to the slaves that were newly liberated. It was a short-lived Reconstruction period. But
hello from Canada, Asian.
Come the fuck on, dude. This conversation is currently being had in South Africa as well, by the way. 90% of the viable land in South Africa is still owned by white people, which make up less than 10% of the population. Okay? Neoliberal capitalists love to call that a land grab, okay? It is a function of a government that wants to create more equity for all of its fucking citizens. It's bullshit, dude. Absolutely fucking bullshit.
Hello, Ajan.
Still no word from Joe. It's 10:30. Still no word from Joe. And then this tepid...
Again, same energy as people fucking crying about Joe Biden not literally assassinating like a Palestinian child on camera. Okay? He did everything. He did everything you could. Exactly what Donald Trump would have done for Israel. Just didn't use the same fucking words. And Republicans were still fucking crying about it. It's like, that's ridiculous. Marco Rubio and Joe Biden's takes were identical on Cuba. Shut the fuck up, Sean Hannity.
Pathetic statement that he sends out today, and then his spokespeople at the State Department and the White House lying and saying this is about COVID. That was an outright lie, Senator. You forced their hand to even say anything.
I don't know why it's so hard for them to criticize Marxists. Look, I do think, and it's pretty clear.
Yeah, it's so hard to criticize Marxists, dude. Yeah, totally. Our state apparatus certainly isn't involved in disruption operations. There isn't already a fucking horrible sanction and embargo process in Cuba.
Dig the now, says Pog.
Donald Trump added a fuckload of sanctions onto Cuba. And if I'm not mistaken, okay? If I'm not mistaken, Donald Trump added a fuckload of additional sanctions on Cuba on his way out. And if I'm not mistaken, Joe Biden did not lift those sanctions, okay? So much for normalizing relationships with Cuba and, like, you know, going back to the Obama era. House Democrats call on Biden to lift Trump's Cuba sanctions as its regime faces growing democratic protests. Yeah, let me tell you something, okay? This conversation about Cubans protesting more autonomy or Cubans protesting for less police brutality, great, more power to them, okay? But if you ask most Cubans living in fucking Cuba, I'm certain that they would probably feel like the American sanctions are significantly worse than anything the fucking government is doing to them. Also, Donald Trump is remarkably orange. Even fucking Florida Cubans, for the most part, believe that.
Yeah.
That's a question mark? You really think that's a question mark? What I said there is, like, that crazy to you? Just please pull yourself out of your fucking American exceptionalist bubble for, like, a second, please. Cuba's health, education, and other life quality measures outperform many comparable Latin American countries, even while undergoing a fucking embargo. For fuck's sake, they're the only Latin American country to produce a successful vaccine and have literally been offering everywhere, and their doctors are heroes. The embargo exists because they know Cuba will flourish without it. I think so. Actually, you know what? I think maybe lifting the embargo could even be worse for Cuba overall. I'm not even kidding. I feel like, or for communism and socialism in Cuba to thrive, you're throwing up question marks, but I feel like if I feel like that opens up that opens up an opportunity for private corporations to come in and seize a bunch of areas. No. Sorry. For Cuba overall, of course, lifting the sanctions would be the best thing, and lifting the embargo would be the best thing. That's why I clarify by saying perhaps it would be worse for the ideology and the ideological war that the socialist regime would engage in. So maybe America should do it. Okay? If they're going to get owned, let's try it out. Let socialism, collapse in and of itself. Lift the embargoes, lift the sanctions, and I'm sure it will collapse. Just think about it, chat. Dave Tag Omega Law. I mean, this is what I've been saying since day one. So ideologies over people's lives? Wait, are you fucking... Oh, God, I forgot. I have a lot of idiots in my chat who don't understand the point I'm making. Lift the embargo. Lift the embargo on Cuba and let the horrible socialist regime collapse in and of itself. Okay? Allow the wonders of free market capitalism to destroy Cuba from within. LSF maybe, LSF maybe, LSF maybe. This guy's literally just been spamming like LSF now, please. LSF, LSF, LSF. Why are you grouping all Cubans? You're being stupid.
Baby.
LSF, 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 LSF. Get with it, chat. Think about it, dude. The point is that lifting the embargo will instantly gentrify an entire country, right? Yeah, totally. That'll definitely happen. Anyway, let's keep going. It's obvious that global trade is going to change Cuban material conditions for the worse. This is the first time it's happened. East Germany on the fall of the wall. I mean, it's entirely dependent on the transition stage, but I think ultimately it will be a lot better. I think lifting the embargo will be significantly better for Cuba overall, as long as they can still maintain a grip and not allow echo chambers secured. God, why are my fucking... Dude, don't make me ban you too, you fucking idiot. I banned that dude because he said, like, nice nail. God, you're such a stereotypical lefty, broski. Like, I don't want some fucking idiot who's like... Actually, I understand what you're trying to say. You can look at Vietnam for an example. However, the Cuban people are ideologically strong and will probably beat countries like Bolivia. No, I do think that it will, of course, improve the material conditions of Cubans overall. At the very least, it opens up fucking tourism. You know what I mean? That's a huge part of the... That's a huge industry.
Queen 28 love, Queen 28 hype, Queen 28 love.
I think it's a good... Of course I think it's a good thing. I advocate for it all the time. My statement is this, okay? There could be some negative consequences. It could be easier for private capital influence to try to turn Cuba into many of these, like, post-revolutionary countries, right? East Germany, to think of one example, or many of the, like, post-Soviet bloc countries as another example. Having said that, though, I would rather, you know, I would rather have that and have people, you know, have access to medical supplies and food with ease that they're literally fucking paying for than anything else. Now, on top of that, though, my debate for the reactionaries that watch me, or what you can tell reactionaries, is if communism is destined to fail, then let them fucking fail. You don't need to tilt the scales in favor of failing communism by putting a fucking embargo. You understand what I'm saying now? Like, just, you know, whenever people says, like, that's fucked up, dude, what the fuck? Like, I'd be like, yeah, you're right, dude. I hate socialism. I think socialism shouldn't exist, which is why I think they should lift the fucking embargo so the invisible hand of the market can, like, absolutely dumpster and dumpster socialism and give Cuba the wonderful capitalist revolution that they deserve, you know? Just let it happen. Just lift it, pussy. You won't.
It's my birthday today. You should always be nice, cause you never really know when.
Should the Cuban government return private property they stole from Cubans?
Really
Fuck no, dude.
Going
Fuck
to be
my
an ad
cock.
break at the top of the hour every hour.
That's what I say to people. No.
Has makes $4.99 off my
No.
Prime, so
How about,
I avoid the
how about
adult
no,
tomato
motherfucker?
time.
No.
Happy 9 months, no ban, bless.
I'm sorry. RIP to your fucking parents and whatever property they own, but, like, I think expropriation is not theft. I think expropriation is a totally totally fucking understandable thing that governments engage in a way to create more equity. What is this weird choice? Biden names Arizona Republican Jeff Flake as his ambassador pick for Turkey. That is a weird choice.
Yeah,
what the fuck? You should get a Cuban Floridian to speak on this matter. You are too ignorant. No. Why the fuck would I do that, dude?
The protests
so all the dumbass white people in here who have no fucking comprehension can be like, oh, but that's a Cuban guy. And you're speaking over a Cuban guy. A Cuban Floridian. Why? He's from Florida.
We love our streamer. Glad to hear my state's Democrats finally found their balls.
Brother, you need to bring...
Cool,
you motherfucker, you need to bring someone from the South to talk about the Civil War, okay? You fucking bozo. Talking about motherfucking property theft. You need a different alternative take on this. How many times have you visited Florida? I lived in Florida.
Pure ligma.
Cuban Floridian here, willing to talk about why the embargo is genocidal and needs to be lifted. Yeah, I mean, even if a fucking Cuban Floridian comes on here, I'm going to be like, do you think the embargo should be lifted? And if they say no, then they're a fucking psychopath. Why the hell do I have to talk to them after that? I'm going to be like, you're a psycho. We're moving on. And if I get a Cuban Floridian on here and they say, yes, of course the embargo should be lifted. Okay, we agree. Right? Just like we agree that at the top of the hour, there's an ad break, a 60-second ad break. Now, in order to lift the embargo on those ad breaks, though, there is something you can do. And that is you can subscribe for $5 or for free with a Twitch Prime. Okay? That's a thing you can do. You could also use an ad block or a VPN, but Twitch Prime is free. So here's the ad break now. Cuban Floridian here. Casters threw my children on the bayonets. Oh, wait, that was the CIA.
Cruel U.S. embargo.
Airstrikes in Cuba are now being floated on the news TV channel.
A repressive government and a cruel U.S. embargo. They deserve policies that empower them and help them improve their lives. Do you think that President Biden, looking at this situation, will lift that embargo? And do you think that's what he should do?
No, I don't think the embargo is cruel at all. And I think that the Cuban people are not asking for a lifting of the embargo. They're going out on the streets every single day talking about the failure of the communist regime to provide for its people. And I don't understand why that's so difficult for people to understand. It has failed for 6 decades. And what should be being contemplated right now is a coalition, a potential military action in Cuba, similar to what has happened in both administrations, in both Republican and Democrat administrations. In Republican with Bush in Panama, they deposed Noriega, and that country had peaceful democracy for decades. And you had interventions by Democratic presidents, taking out Osama bin Laden in Pakistan. It's a sovereign country where they took out a terrorist that probably saved thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of lives.
Bro, that happened already, dude. Okay, I need to know what the fuck this dude's like deal is, dude. Francis. What's his dad do? What does this dude's dad do? That's what I need to know, okay? He was the first Cuban-born mayor of Miami. Oh my God, his dad was the fucking mayor of Miami too. God damn it, I hate this country so much. Oh yeah, dude. Oh my fucking God, dude.
Thanks for everything you do, Hassel. All your Florida shit talk is the reason Gators Daily doesn't come around anymore. Sage smoke time.
Wait, what? All my Florida shit talk is the reason Gators Daily doesn't come around? He's literally in here right now. What are you talking about? Gators Daily showed us a Cuban gator. I don't know why it's good to compare what Castro did to what the U.S. did to people. Is literally what Sean Hannity does. Yes, embargo should be lifted. Yes, Castro was bad. Totally, dude. When people say yes, Castro was bad, I want to ask them, like, how do you feel you can? How do you transition out of a fascist authoritarian state under military command without violence? Do you kiss them? Do you give them little kissy boo-boos? Like, what do you do? Just because you don't fucking have any historical context does not mean that there's any other fucking way. Do you vote them out, dude? Do you give them Pepsi? You go, vote them out, dude. Vote Batista out. Vote Batista out. Like, shut the fuck up. Unfortunately, violence is a fundamental part of politics, okay? Who gets to do the violence and how the violence is done is literally kind of at the heart of politics. It's a distribution of power game. And obviously violence is another demonstration of power.
Whoa, 1 year.
And
Love
President Clinton in Kosovo intervening in a humanitarian issue with airstrikes. So there have been many opportunities in the history.
Are you suggesting airstrikes in Cuba?
Saying Castro bad is not equal to Batista good. Okay, but like, people say he was fucking murderous and bad and stole their fucking land.
Freaking insane.
That's the problem. People don't say Castro's bad because his administration was really fucking authoritarian in the aftermath of the revolution. In the aftermath of the Cuban Revolution, they betrayed the Marxist-Leninist principles and values that they believed in. And you can have a fucking argument about like why that happened, okay? And how much involvement from the United States and interference from the United States and the decision Castro made to cooperate with the USSR plays a role in that. But that's a completely separate argument. That's a completely separate argument. That's not to say like I can't believe fucking Castro was bad because he stole land and murdered people. Like, yeah, of course he did, dude. You can't say one murder is bad and another murder is good. Okay, are you gonna fucking sit here and cry about the Allied forces in World War II then? Is that what you're gonna do? Sorry, I'm a humanitarian. I think the American forces should not have actually purged the Nazis, dude. It's really fucked up. Like, what the fuck are you guys talking about? Is that the same energy you want to bring to the fucking Nazi regime, dude? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. This protest footage that they're showing has... Wait, this is a fucking pro-revolution protest. Oh my God. Oh my God. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? The protest B-roll that they're using on Fox News is literally a pro-revolution protest, dude.
Good luck managing chat.
Is that actually a recent one too, or is that like an old one, dude? Wait. What the fuck? Oh my God. Oh my fucking God. They're literally using anti-government protests. Bro, this is literally a pro-government protest. This is literally a pro-government protest. Okay, chatters. That chatter was right. Apologize to him now. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, that chatter was right. The 26th of July movement is a Cuban vanguard revolutionary organization and is the political party led by Fidel Castro. The movement's name commemorates his 26th of July 1953 attack on the army barracks on Santiago de Cuba in an attempt to start overthrowing the dictator Fulgencio Batista. So people that are waving the fucking, it's like literally the equivalent of waving a like a Fidel Castro photo, which they might literally have right there. If I were able to zoom in to that, I wonder if that's actually a fucking Castro photo that they're holding up. Oh my God, dude. Oh my fucking God. Anti-government protesters gathered on Maximo Gomez Monument in Havana, Cuba on Sunday. That's nuts, dude. That's fucking insane. That's actually... This is crazy. I gotta tweet this. Hold on.
Swagging IRL.
Maybe we need some fucking CRT for Cuba too. So what are those people protesting about? I think there are also mass protests happening right now in the country that revolve around lifting the embargoes as well. Like people are genuinely fucking criticizing the government because they're not getting fucking food and they're not getting medical supplies. But a big part of the issue revolves around not having access to, like, for example, syringes. You know what I mean?
You're ignorant. My grandfather was raided by the Cuban Castro police and they took any extra appliance in my grandfather's house. Socialism is not all bad, but your ego for it is sad. I can get on Discord and talk to you with my grandma and translate.
You're ignorant. My grandfather was raided by the Cuban Castro police and they took any extra appliance in my grandfather's house. Socialism is not all bad, but your ego for it is sad. I can get on Discord and talk to you about my grandma and translate. What the fuck? I'm not gonna fucking debate your grandma, dude. Cuban police pulling out a kid out of his house to be forced to fight for the government. Dude, this type of shit is like I'm sorry, dude. Like, I don't know what the fuck this is, okay?
Yes,
and neither do you. This is like when racists fucking say, like, oh, well, you know, the black person died, but also, if we look at the footage, like, maybe he fucking deserved it. Like, you have no fucking clue what's going on here. You have no context. And the only thing that you added, the only thing that you fucking added to this subject, which, by the way, this is still disgusting, okay? Don't get me wrong. But you're literally adding the context to this because it fits your fucking point of view.
Thanks for the quality content.
All I give a fuck about is lift the embargo then. So no matter what you tell me, lift the embargo. I think we can all agree on that, right?
What I'm suggesting is that that option is one that has to be explored and cannot be just simply discarded as an option that is not on the table. And there's a variety of ways the military can do it, but that's something that needs to be discussed and needs to be looked at as a potential option in addition to a variety of other options.
Wait, why is this?
Options.
What are they holding up? Why aren't they showing what was being said on this?
That can be discussed.
Yeah.
U.S. President Biden says no to defunding the police. Biden calls on Cuban regime to listen to protesters. Yeah, that is fucking funny as shit. To the donator that said, like, Castro stole my grandmother's appliances, I'm really sorry. Okay? I hope your grandmother's appliances can be given back to her. I do believe it. I think that socialism does not mean...
Poo-poo Piker, your take on Cuba is so bad. You just like Castro's Cuba because they have an Orwellian plumbing system and it makes your disgusting 1984 filth fetishes easier to get away with.
What? Ew.
Three months cheers Dono Wall.
People that advocate for the wonders of free market capitalism and how much these people hate socialism just refuse to let the free market dominate Cuba. Lift the embargo, let the free market dominate, baby.
6 months you...
Wait, why did they block this? What does this mean? I can't read what this is. Hasan is a neolib now? Yeah, totally.
Three months Ajan hassle. I wonder what that Cuban cuisine is like. They got them old cars.
These streets belong to the revolution?
You're pretty
it says the streets are of the revolution, a pro-revolution quote. So why is it, so why did they fucking blur that, do you guys think? Why did Fox News blur that?
Did your like really hot?
That's so strange, dude. Hold on. Let me just take a look at something here. So... This sucks, by the way. This is all like fucking lefties joking.
Hollow Knight is pog.
Like all of the fucking we Cubans don't want the embargo to end is like just mostly leftist shit posting. But let me just go back to this clip real quick.
What I'm suggesting is a way.
So Fox News, so you mean to tell me that Fox News unironically aired
with air
like anti-Cuba protest footage that was actually pro revolution. They literally have the 26 Julio flags up. That's a pro Castro protest. Okay, and then they also showed more fucking footage.
I made it
and
to
they
a year.
and they fucking
proud of me.
And they blurred the actual writing on there because you could read it.
Chat, I am calling for a revolution. We need to overtake Hasan's authoritarian grasp on ad segues and put it up to a democracy who decides when the ads air. If you are
They blurred the footage that says these streets belong to the revolution.
Did you see Boo Boo Bennett's take on what's happening in Cuba right now? It's up on Twitter, I believe.
The protests in Cuba were never anti-communist. They were just against current... I know it's not anti-communist. I said that already. It's kind of weird, man. Worth mentioning, the media isn't covering protests in Brazil against Bolsonaro, as well as the Chilean and Colombian protests. They also didn't cover the protests against the fucking Haitian president that were heating up, and chatters were yelling at me for not covering it, and now I feel bad about it. I wonder why the mainstream media never covered that. Well, because if it's their fucking patsies, if it's their puppets, then they don't talk about it. This is just a way to garner support against a foreign adversary that is ideologically a threat to America's capitalist hegemony, okay? That's all this is. Sorry. I know that offends a lot of people, but it's just the truth. Okay? Sucks to suck, dude. Anyway, I'm glad that we can all agree, though, that we should lift the embargo.